At 17, I opened my front door and lost everyone. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you believe family should earn forgiveness. My name is Hannah Cole, and until that afternoon, I thought abandonment happened slowly. I imagined arguments, slammed doors, and painful goodbyes. I was wrong. Sometimes people removed you from their lives while you were working a 6-hour shift at a grocery store. It was late August, 3 weeks before my senior year. I came home expecting to smell my mother's meatloaf and hear my father complaining about the evening news. Instead, the house was silent. The living room was completely empty. The couch, television, family photographs, and even the old lamp beside my father's chair were gone. At first, I thought we had been robbed. Then I ran upstairs. My parents' bedroom was empty. My older brother Tyler's room was empty. My bedroom still contained my mattress, school clothes, and a plastic container filled with personal things they apparently did not want. On the kitchen counter, I found a folded piece of paper. It contained 5 words in my mother's handwriting. "You'll figure it out." I read it at least 20 times. I called my mother, but her number was disconnected. My father's phone went straight to voicemail. Tyler had blocked me. Even the home phone was dead. I ran next door and knocked until our neighbor, Mrs. Watson, opened the door. "Where did my family go?" I asked. Her expression changed immediately. She told me a moving truck had arrived that morning. My parents had loaded everything before noon and driven away. "My mother didn't tell you anything." Mrs. Watson looked confused. "She said you were staying with your aunt." That was when I understood this had been planned. For weeks, my mother had been packing boxes and claiming she was donating old clothes. My father had sold his lawn mower. Tyler had suddenly quit his job at the auto parts store. I had noticed every clue, but I had never connected them. Why would I? Families did not secretly move away and leave a 17-year-old child behind. I called my Aunt Linda from Mrs. Watson's phone. She went quiet when she heard my voice. "Your parents said you refused to move," she finally said. "They said you wanted to stay with friends." I didn't even know they were moving. Another long silence followed. Then she said something I did not understand until years later. "Hannah, they told us you made your choice." "What choice?" She did not answer. Aunt Linda lived nearly 4 hours away. She said she had no room because her husband's mother had recently moved in. She promised to call my parents and find out what was happening. She never called me back. That night, I slept on my mattress in the empty house. I pushed a chair under my bedroom doorknob because every sound frightened me. The electricity was disconnected the next morning. The water stopped 2 days later. My parents had emptied the joint bank account where my grocery store wages were deposited. I had $9 in my purse and half a tank of gas in a car that was still legally registered to my father. I stayed with my friend Kayla for 4 nights. Her mother was kind, but they lived in a small apartment with 3 children. I heard them arguing about me after midnight. I left before they had to ask. One of my coworkers, Megan, was 19. She could not let me stay with her because she lived with her boyfriend's parents, but she rented a small storage unit in her name. It was 5 feet wide and 10 feet deep. There was no window, no electricity, and no bathroom. During the day, the metal walls trapped the summer heat. At night, every passing truck made the door shake. That storage unit became my bedroom for almost 7 weeks. I entered shortly before the facility closed and left before the manager arrived each morning. I kept my school clothes in black trash bags and slept on 2 blankets beside a used vacuum cleaner. I showered at the YMCA before school. I told the receptionist I was training for the swim team because I was too ashamed to tell her the truth. Most days, I ate crackers and spoonfuls of peanut butter. The smell still makes my stomach tighten. I continued working because the grocery store break room had air conditioning, clean water, and a microwave. I volunteered for every shift available. My manager thought I was ambitious. In reality, I was terrified of having nowhere safe to stand. I emailed my parents repeatedly. I did not ask for money. I only asked why they had left and whether they were coming back. None of them answered. On my 18th birthday, I sent Tyler one final message. "I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry." The message was read within minutes. He never replied. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Delgado, eventually noticed that I wore the same 3 outfits and fell asleep during first period. When she asked where I was living, I tried to lie. I lasted about 10 seconds before I started crying. She helped me enter a transitional housing program for homeless teenagers. I shared a room with another girl, followed a strict curfew, and worked until graduation. When my name was announced at the ceremony, I looked toward the bleachers even though I knew my family would not be there. For one foolish second, I imagined my mother appearing at the top of the stairs. The seat stayed empty. After graduation, I worked housekeeping at a business hotel during the day and stocked grocery shelves at night. Cleaning was exhausting, but I was good at it. I noticed details other people ignored. I learned which products damaged stone, how long a room should take, and why commercial clients replaced unreliable cleaning companies so quickly. At 21, I bought a used vacuum and started cleaning 2 small medical offices after hours. I called the business Clearline Commercial Services. For the first year, I did everything myself. I answered emails from the hotel laundry room, prepared invoices at the public library, and slept 4 hours a night. Then I hired 1 employee. A year later, I hired 4 more. I never became successful overnight. I lost clients, made terrible hearing decisions, and once went 3 months without paying myself. But I kept accurate records, treated my employees fairly, and never promised work I could not complete. By 29, Clearline had 43 employees and contracts across southern Ohio. Our annual revenue passed $4 million. Most of that money belonged to the business, not me. Still, between my ownership share, savings, and a small commercial property I had purchased, my net worth crossed $1 million. I remember staring at the number on my accountant's report. I did not feel rich. I felt safe. 12 years had passed since my family disappeared. During that time, they had not called me once. No birthday messages, no Christmas cards, no apology. Then I appeared on a business podcast called Built from Nothing. I had agreed to discuss hearing and entrepreneurship, but the host asked what had motivated me to work so hard. For the first time publicly, I told the truth. I did not use my parents' names. I did not insult them. I simply explained that I had been abandoned at 17 and had slept in a storage unit while finishing high school. A short clip from the interview spread online. Within 3 weeks, it had more than 1 million views. That was when my mother found me. Her first email contained no apology. It began, "Hannah, we have been praying for this day." My father emailed 6 minutes later. There are 2 sides to every story. Tyler sent a message through my company's website. "Dad's health isn't good. Whatever happened, we're still family." I stared at those messages until the words blurred. They had known my full name. They knew where my business was located. They could have contacted me at any point during those 12 years. They had simply chosen not to. I ignored them for 4 days. Then my mother sent a photograph of me at 9 years old, sitting on my father's shoulders at a county fair. "I know you're hurting," she wrote. "Please let us explain in person." Some part of me still wanted an explanation, not forgiveness, not a reunion, just one honest answer. I agreed to meet them at a restaurant inside a hotel. I told my best friend where I would be and asked the restaurant manager for a table near the entrance. My parents arrived with Tyler and a woman I had never met. She introduced herself as Rachel, Tyler's wife. My mother tried to hug me. I stepped back. She immediately began crying. My father looked older, but his expression had not changed. It was the same hard look he used whenever he believed emotion was an inconvenience. "We were under enormous pressure," he said after we sat down. "The move happened quickly. You disconnected your phones. We needed a clean break. From your 17-year-old daughter." Tyler leaned forward. "You always wanted independence." "I wanted to choose my own college. That isn't the same thing." My mother wiped her face. "Aunt Linda told us you were staying with her." "That's interesting," I said. "She told me you said I chose to stay behind." No one answered. Rachel stared at Tyler, as if she had just heard something new. My father changed the subject. He asked about my company, my property, and whether I had outside investors. He even knew our approximate annual revenue. "That podcast made it sound like you're doing extremely well," he said. "It was a business interview. $4 million is more than extremely well. Revenue isn't personal income." Tyler exchanged a quick look with my father. That look told me more than their apology had. My mother reached across the table. "We don't want money, Hannah. We want our daughter back." It sounded beautiful. Then my father placed a thick envelope beside his plate. "There is a situation involving Tyler's company," he said. "Once we rebuild some trust, we need to discuss how you can help this family." Rachel's face lost all color. She excused herself and walked toward the restroom. A minute later, I did the same. I found her standing near the sinks with trembling hands. "Do not agree to anything tonight," she whispered. "What is in that envelope?" "I don't know exactly. Tyler won't let me see the financial records." "Then why are you warning me?" Rachel looked toward the restroom door. "Because everything they told me about you was a lie." Before I could ask another question, my mother entered. Rachel immediately stepped away and pretended to adjust her makeup. I left the restaurant without opening my father's envelope. At 1:17 that morning, a message arrived from a number I did not recognize. It was Rachel. "I found emails they wrote during the week they abandoned you. They didn't leave because they thought you would be okay. They left because of money they took from you. And for 12 years, they have told everyone that you were the thief." I read Rachel's message 3 times before my hands began to shake. I typed, "Can I call you?" Her answer came immediately. "Not tonight. Tyler is still awake. Meet me tomorrow at 7. I'll send the address." She chose a small diner 20 minutes outside the city. When I arrived, she was sitting in a rear booth with a large envelope pressed against her chest. "I'm sorry," she said as I sat down. "I should have questioned them sooner." "Questioned what?" Rachel looked around before lowering her voice. According to the story Tyler had told her, I had stolen more than $20,000 from my mother, pushed her during an argument, and run away with an older man. My parents had supposedly spent years searching for me. They claimed I developed a drug problem, refused treatment, and threatened them whenever they tried to help. "They said the move was for their safety," Rachel continued. "Tyler told me the police advised them not to contact you." I felt as though the room had tilted. I was 17. I worked at a grocery store. "I know that now." Rachel said she had asked about me several times during her marriage. Every year, the story became worse. One Christmas, my mother claimed I was in a rehabilitation center somewhere in Arizona. Another year, Tyler said I had been arrested for stealing from an employer. None of it had happened. They had not simply abandoned me. They had created a new version of me that made their abandonment seem reasonable. "Why did you start looking through old records?" I asked. "Tyler's company is in serious trouble. His construction business had missed several loan payments. The bank was preparing to take legal action, and my parents' Tennessee home had been used as collateral. Rachel had been helping organize financial documents after the company's accountant suddenly resigned. While searching through an old filing cabinet, she found a folder bearing my full name. She pushed the envelope toward me. Inside was a copy of my grandmother Evelyn's will. My grandmother had died when I was 16. A few months before her death, she had taken my hand and told me, "Your education will be covered. Don't let anyone tell you differently." After the funeral, my father said her medical bills had consumed most of the estate. I believed him because I had no reason not to. The document in front of me showed that my grandmother had left me $78,400 in a custodial investment account. My father had been placed in charge of it until I became an adult. A bank statement showed that he liquidated the entire account 8 days before my family moved. $60,000 had been transferred to Tyler's newly formed construction company. The remaining $18,400 was used for the down payment on my parents' house in Tennessee. I stared at the dates. "They took this before they left." Rachel nodded. "There's more." She showed me printed copies of old emails between my parents and Tyler. In one message, my father told Tyler to keep the same story when speaking to relatives. "Hannah took Diane's emergency cash and refused to come with us. Linda believes it. Don't change any details." Another message came from my mother. "What if she has nowhere to stay?" My father responded 12 minutes later. "She has a job. She turns 18 soon. She needs to learn that choices have consequences." I read that sentence repeatedly. My mother had known I might have nowhere to sleep. She had asked the question and then climbed into the moving truck anyway. Rachel reached across the table, but I pulled my hands into my lap. I was not angry about the money yet. Money felt distant. All I could see was that storage unit. I remembered waking before sunrise with insects crawling near my blanket. I remembered washing my work shirt in a YMCA sink and drying it beneath a hand dryer. While I was apologizing for something I had never done, my family was living in a house purchased partly with money my grandmother had left for me. "Why are they contacting me now?" I asked. Rachel swallowed. "Because Tyler needs $600,000 to stop the bank." That number matched the investment proposal my father had placed in front of me. "But why would they think I'd give them that?" "They think you still want their approval." I looked down at the papers. Rachel continued carefully, "And there's a clause in the agreement they need you to sign." I went directly from the diner to my attorney's office. Melissa Grant had handled contracts for Clearline for 3 years. I trusted her because she never promised easy victories. I placed my father's unopened envelope on her desk. The first 12 pages described Tyler's company as a growing regional construction business, suffering from a temporary cash flow shortage. Page 13 told the truth. The company owed money to the bank, the Internal Revenue Service, subcontractors, and at least 6 customers whose projects had never been completed. My family wanted me to invest $600,000 in exchange for a minority ownership share with no management control. Then Melissa reached the final page. Clause 14 stated that by signing the agreement, I confirmed I had received all property, inheritance, and financial assets managed on my behalf before my 18th birthday. It also required me to release Tyler and my parents from all past financial claims. Melissa read it twice. "This does not belong in a normal investment agreement," she said. "So they want my money and my silence. They may also want protection from a fraud claim." Over the next week, Melissa helped me verify everything before I made a single accusation. The county probate court still held a certified copy of my grandmother's will. The attorney who had prepared it confirmed that the custodial account existed. Archived financial records showed the transfer into Tyler's company. Even the down payment on my parents' house matched the amount missing from my account. There was no misunderstanding. No clerical error. They had stolen my inheritance and then abandoned me before I became old enough to ask for it. Melissa advised me not to call them in anger. Instead, I sent my father a calm email. "I am willing to review the proposal. Please send complete company financial records and explain why Clause 14 is necessary." He called me less than 2 minutes later. I let it go to voicemail. "Hannah, lawyers put that language in everything. Don't turn a family matter into something ugly." Tyler called next. "You told the whole internet we're monsters. Now you're acting suspicious because we asked for one chance to rebuild." I saved both messages. My mother tried a different approach. She sent flowers to my office with a card that read, "Please don't let money destroy our family." The cruelty of that sentence almost impressed me. Money had not destroyed our family when they stole mine. It only became destructive when I refused to give them more. I asked a forensic accountant to examine the records Tyler eventually sent. His company was not suffering from a temporary shortage. For 3 years, Tyler had used business funds to pay for vacations, expensive trucks, private school tuition, and renovations to my parents' house. He had accepted deposits from new customers to finish older projects. The business needed far more than $600,000 to survive. My investment would disappear within months. Once I understood that, I stopped thinking about revenge as anger. I wanted the truth placed somewhere they could never rewrite it. Melissa and I created a careful plan. I told my family I would attend a formal meeting at her office. Before discussing an investment, they would have to explain the inheritance clause and provide a written account of what happened to my grandmother's money. Melissa prepared a repayment demand, copies of the bank transfers, and legal notices requiring them to preserve every related record. If they admitted what they had done, their admission would be documented. If they lied, the documents would answer for them. My father hated the idea of meeting at a law office. "Families don't need attorneys to speak to one another," he wrote. I replied, "This family does." He finally agreed. The meeting was scheduled for Friday morning. That was when the pressure became frightening. Tyler contacted the podcast host and threatened to sue if my interview was not removed. My attorney responded that I had never named him or my parents. He then began calling my employees. He told my office manager I was emotionally unstable and that my success had made me paranoid. A gray pickup truck started appearing outside my office. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then I saw the same truck near my condominium. One evening, Tyler approached me in the parking lot. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said. I stayed near the building entrance and began recording with my phone. "You need to leave. Mom could lose her house because of you. She may lose a house purchased with my inheritance." His expression changed. For the first time, he understood that I knew. He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "You have no idea what you're starting." I called the police. Tyler left before an officer arrived, but I filed an incident report. The next morning, my mother sent me a photograph of my condominium building. "We came all this way," she wrote. "Please stop treating us like strangers." I changed my locks, installed additional cameras, and instructed my employees not to let any member of my family enter the office. Rachel had already left Tyler and was staying with her sister. She promised to attend Friday's meeting. On Thursday evening, she sent me one final message. "I found another folder. It proves your parents knew exactly where you were after they left. I'll bring it tomorrow." I tried calling her, but her phone had been switched off. At 2:14 the next morning, the security alarm at Clearline woke me. I opened the camera application on my phone. 2 figures stood behind my office, near a broken window. The first person climbed inside and removed his hood. It was Tyler. He walked past the computers and expensive equipment without touching any of them. He went directly to the locked cabinet where he believed I kept Rachel's evidence. The original documents were already inside Melissa's office, but Tyler did not know that. He forced open the cabinet and began tearing through the files. Then a second figure stepped into view. My father was holding a crowbar. He looked directly into the camera, raised the crowbar above his shoulder, and the screen went black. I called 911 before the camera hit the floor. The dispatcher told me to stay inside my condominium and not approach the office. I watched the blank screen while listening to my own heartbeat. The police arrived 9 minutes later. Tyler and my father were already gone, but they had left the broken window, damaged cabinet, and crowbar behind. They had ignored computers, petty cash, and expensive equipment. The only cabinet they touched was the one they believed contained evidence about my inheritance. Fortunately, destroying the camera had accomplished nothing. The recording had automatically uploaded to secure cloud storage. Their faces, clothing, truck, and arrival time were all clearly visible. At 4:38 that morning, my father left me a voicemail. "You're pushing people too far, Hannah. Whatever Rachel gave you belongs to this family. Stop this now, or you will destroy everything." I forwarded it to Melissa and the detective. Rachel arrived at Melissa's office shortly after 8 with her sister beside her. She had turned off her phone because Tyler was using their shared account to track its location. In her hand was a flash drive containing the final folder. "I didn't understand how bad it was until I read this," she said. The first document was an email from Mrs. Delgado, my high school guidance counselor. It had been sent 11 days after my parents left. "Hannah has reported that she is sleeping inside a commercial storage unit. She is still a minor and does not have safe housing. Please contact me or County Youth Services immediately." My counselor had known exactly where my parents moved. She had contacted them several times. They never told me. My mother had forwarded the email to my father and Tyler with one question. "Should we bring her here?" My father answered, "If she comes here, she'll see the bank correspondence. The transfer isn't fully closed yet." Then Tyler replied, "She'll survive. Don't risk everything now." My mother's final response contained one word. "Okay." She blocked Mrs. Delgado's number that same afternoon. The truth was worse than abandonment. They knew I was sleeping in a metal box. They could have driven back, sent money, called the school, or given permission for another relative to take me. Instead, they left me homeless because they were afraid I would discover my inheritance. Rachel had also found years of messages sent to relatives. Whenever someone asked about me, my parents invented a new lie. They claimed I was in rehabilitation, in jail, or living with a violent boyfriend. My father told Aunt Linda that I had attacked my mother after she caught me stealing money. The money they accused me of stealing was almost the exact amount they had stolen from me. Tyler even created a fake email address in my name and sent one hostile message to my aunt. After that, she stopped trying to find me. Every lie had served the same purpose. It kept people away from me and protected the secret. I sat in Melissa's conference room with those documents spread across the table. For 12 years, I had blamed myself. I had replayed every teenage argument, searching for the moment when I became impossible to love. Now I finally had the answer. I had not been abandoned because I was difficult. I had been removed because I was evidence. The meeting scheduled for that morning never happened. Police located Tyler and my father at their hotel. They denied entering my office until the detective showed them still images from the security video. Both were arrested. My mother called me from the hotel lobby. "How could you have your own father arrested?" she screamed. "He broke into my business. He was trying to protect us." "From what?" She went silent. "From the truth," I asked. Her voice changed immediately. "You have more money than you could ever need. Your father has a heart condition. Tyler has children. If you continue this, you will destroy the whole family. I was your child too." She began crying, but I felt nothing when I heard it. 2 days later, she appeared outside my condominium. She knocked for nearly 40 minutes and refused to leave. When building security escorted her away, she placed a note beneath my door. "Withdraw your accusations, or you will regret what happens next." I gave the note to the police. My father and Tyler were released while the criminal case moved forward. Both were ordered not to contact me, but Tyler used an employee's phone to leave another threat. He said he would tell my clients I had built Clearline with stolen family money. The claim made no sense, but it showed he was not stopping. Melissa helped me request separate protection orders against all 3 of them. I brought the voicemails, the photograph of my building, the parking lot recording, my mother's note, and the break-in footage. The temporary orders were granted immediately. Several months later, the court replaced them with longer protective orders after reviewing the full pattern of stalking and threats. For the first time since my family returned, I could sleep through the night. I also filed a civil case over the inheritance. Melissa warned me that old financial claims were complicated. Records disappeared, legal deadlines mattered, and winning a judgment did not guarantee that money could be collected. But my family had concealed the theft for years. Their new investment agreement showed they were still trying to make me release the claim. Most importantly, their own emails explained exactly what they had done. The bank handling Tyler's business loan began its own review. His financial statements did not match the records provided to me. Customer deposits had been misused. Taxes had not been paid. My $600,000 would not have saved the company. It would only have delayed its collapse. Tyler's business closed before the end of the year. My parents' house entered foreclosure because they had used it as collateral for his loans. They told everyone I had made them homeless. The truth was much simpler. They lost the house because they risked it to support a failing company and refused to stop spending money they did not have. Nearly 8 months after the break-in, we attended a civil mediation. I sat beside Melissa. My parents and Tyler sat across from us with their attorneys. It was the first time I had seen them since the restaurant. My mother looked exhausted. Tyler would not look at me. My father still looked angry. He began by saying we should settle privately to protect the family name. Melissa asked him why Clause 14 had been included in the investment agreement. His attorney tried to interrupt, but my father was tired of pretending. "We needed the investment, and we needed the old account issue finished," he said. "Hannah had enough money to solve both problems." I looked directly at him. "Did you contact me because you wanted your daughter back?" He leaned back in his chair. "We raised you for 17 years. We fed you, housed you, and paid for everything. Asking you to help when you became successful was not unreasonable. You wanted $600,000. You could afford it. And if I signed the agreement, I could never take legal action over Grandma's money. You were never supposed to know about that." The room became completely silent. There it was. Not an apology, not an explanation. The truth. They had come back because my money could save Tyler's company, protect their house, and erase the evidence of what they had done. My mother finally spoke. "I wanted to go back for you." I placed a copy of Mrs. Delgado's email on the table. You knew I was sleeping in a storage unit. Your father said. You wrote, okay, then you blocked the person trying to help me. Tears filled her eyes. I was afraid. So was I. The difference is that I was 17 and alone. Tyler suddenly pushed his chair back. You've punished us enough. I haven't punished you, I said. I stopped protecting you from the consequences of your choices. The mediation lasted 6 hours. I did not receive a magical apology, and I did not recover every dollar immediately. The final civil agreement required my parents and Tyler to acknowledge that my inheritance had been taken without my permission. A judgment was entered for the original money, interest, and part of my legal expenses. Because their assets were heavily tied to debt, I recovered only part of what they owed. But the written admission mattered more than the check. They could never again claim I was the thief. The criminal case over the break-in continued separately. Tyler eventually pleaded guilty and served a short jail sentence after violating the no-contact order. He also received probation and was ordered to pay restitution for the damage to my office. My father avoided jail because of his age, health, and lack of a previous record, but he received probation, community service, and strict no-contact conditions. My mother was not charged with the break-in, but the protective order remained in place because of her repeated visits and written threat. Rachel divorced Tyler and provided a sworn statement confirming where she found the records. We did not become instant best friends, but we stayed in contact. She had risked her marriage and financial security to tell me the truth. I would always respect her for that. After the legal cases became public record, I returned to the podcast. This time, Melissa reviewed every sentence before I spoke. I showed the host the note from the kitchen counter, the inheritance records, Mrs. Delgado's email, and the security footage. I did not exaggerate anything. I did not need to. That episode reached more than 2 million views. Relatives who had avoided me for years began sending apologies. Aunt Linda wrote the longest one. She explained that my father had convinced her I was dangerous. When she received the fake email Tyler created, she believed helping me would place her children at risk. I did not immediately forgive her, but I agreed to speak with her. Forgiveness, I learned, did not require me to pretend nothing happened. It only meant I no longer wanted the anger controlling my life. I used part of the money I recovered to support the same youth housing program that had helped me finish high school. The program now provides emergency hotel rooms, meals, transportation, and YMCA passes for teenagers without safe homes. My family still tells people I am selfish. They say a millionaire daughter watched her parents lose their home and refused to save them. They leave out the stolen inheritance, the 12 years of lies, the $600,000 demand, the stalking, and the broken office window. I could have paid their debts. I could have signed the release and purchased a place at their table. But love bought through fear is not love, and a seat at that table was no longer something I wanted. At 17, my parents left me 5 words. You'll figure it out. They were right. I figured out how to survive without them. Then I figured out that surviving did not mean letting them return whenever they needed something. What would you have done in my situation? Leave your opinion in the comments and like and subscribe for more stories.